Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are a day late, but the Colorado Avalanche have gotten back on schedule and beat the Seattle Kraken 6-3. So like I said, sorry for being a little bit late. As you know, there was an election last night. Did not feel like I wanted to do that. So what we are here to talk about is the Colorado Avalanche. And they had a pretty impressive game last night, I would say so myself. The Avs won 6-3 against Seattle. I thought they controlled play for most of the game. There was a bit of wackiness. I thought they played pretty impressive, and we'll just run it right from the rip for you guys. All right, so things started pretty well for the Avs. They were controlling possession for a lot of the game. You could see the addition of Artturi Lehkonen helped in a big way, especially with that first line. They had a little bit more jump, a little bit more zip. And the Avs started off pretty well. It was actually the fourth line that got their first goal. Granted, it did come from Nathan MacKinnon. A very nice play where he beat two Seattle defenders on the blue line and fed Chris Wagner, who placed the shot pretty well, intentionally or not. Doesn't really matter. He scored a goal, and it's really nice to get goals from your fourth line. And that's something the Avs needed desperately. Even if Nathan MacKinnon generated it, honestly, they needed both of those things. They kept things going for a nice long while. They were generating a lot of momentum, had a lot of chances, and then Seattle got a power play. The Avs did a pretty good job killing off that penalty, but in the final seconds, a cross-crease pass snuck by Sam Malinsky, found Jaden Schwartz on the back, who didn't even really actually hit it, but it went off his skate and in. Hard to call that bad luck. And hard to blame the goaltender there. You really want that pass to be cut off. They went through a few too many guys. If Malinsky isn't going to cut off that pass, he's got to at least be covering that guy and understand it hits his stick, but he's not even close to covering him at all. And this was something I liked from the Avs all night, is that they found these pretty quick responses. So a few seconds after that Seattle goal, they would get another one. Nathan MacKinnon in the middle of a change, I believe, unless they were double shifting him, but I believe it was in the middle of a change. Found himself out there with Nikolai Kovalenko and Ivan. Now he'd make a really nice play in the corner to keep the play alive. Ivan found Kovalenko in front. Now, if you see it on the replay, it was kind of hard to tell in the broadcast because it was the opposite angle. But Kovalenko made a really nice play and almost slid that puck under Grubauer. Now, that's one thing that Grubauer can really excel in because he's a smaller goalie. His 5 hole's not very huge. So he was able to make the stop. In the chaos, one of the Seattle guys just absolutely rammed him, and Ivan was able to score. He's picking up a little bit of speed. It's nice to see from him, especially at 5v5. Both of those guys, definitely nice to see them get some production. The Avs kept that 1-goal lead going into the second period. Seattle would score on a very weird play where Logan O'Connor just kind of flubbed a chip, and Seattle was on the power play. They were able to turn it around. And Jussi Sandin got beat 5-hole. It's not a great goal. It's a pretty bad turnover. It's really hard to be super hard on him. I don't know. I didn't really have a big problem with Jussi Sandin in this game. All 3 of these goals were pretty meh. And honestly, if you're going to keep the other team to 3 goals, the Avs will have a chance more times than not. The Avs did commit another penalty after, and things started to feel a little bit sketchy there, but they were able to kill it off. They got a power play of their own, and Artturi Lehkonen, Phoenix from the ashes, scored a goal in his first game back. I feel like this happens a lot for the Avs, and maybe it's just because they have so many injuries, but, it was a bumper play. I could be at that bumper spot, and I think I would score a goal, to be completely honest. It was a little bit of a sifter, went through Grubauer, but it counted nonetheless. Shortly after, some nonsense occurred. I'm going to toot my own horn here. I'm in a Discord with a few other Avs fans, and immediately when Seattle challenged this goal, I was being that's not how that worked. Now, let me get to the goal first. Mikko Rantanen finally broke his slide. Nice little one-time play. Not much to really write. We've seen this before. Cale Makar walks the puck in, draws a guy to him who wants to take away a shot, opens up Mikko Rantanen, and Rantanen blasts it. And credit to Rantanen, that puck was on its edge a little bit, and he was able to make a really nice shot with that one. It was nice to see him finally fill the net. I thought he was pretty good tonight. Earlier in that power play, Seattle had a play where they took the puck up the ice on a little short-handed rush. Yanni Gourde whips a slap shot, and it goes wide and out, rims around, and Artturi Lehkonen is still in the zone because that's how the Avs do their power play breakout. They have a guy standing at that blue line. So he's standing there. He's kind of cheats into the zone a little bit early. He gets that puck. The Avs set up for about 30 seconds, and obviously they score. Now, Seattle challenges for offsides, and that would be offsides if the Avs played the puck. But that's not how the rule works. And I was screaming my head off about this because I was like, Seattle is the one that shot the puck. This isn't how offsides works. If you're the one who puts it back into your own zone, it's not offsides. And so the refs officially ruled it offsides. Then the Avs were like, hey, you should know the rules. That's not how that worked. And they checked it again, and Seattle was pissed, even though, not how the rules work. But pretty much from that point, I do think that stifled any momentum that Seattle really had. The Avs were feeling it pretty well. They got into the third period, and then they were kind of going into protection mode. They had a 2-goal lead, and it was pretty just smooth sailing from there. There was one shift, and if there's a shift to ever show you that God hates the Avs, it's this one. Parker Kelly was a madman, blocking everything that came his direction, and then Seattle scored a goal. He had 5 blocks on that shift, and Seattle still managed to score. It was garbage. I hated it. It's so dumb. He deserved so much better. Parker Kelly, I thought, was great tonight. I thought he was playing with a lot of intensity. He was more dangerous offensively than he has been in a while, and I think a big part of that is because he's playing with a bit more dangerous wingers. Shortly after, the Avs would get an empty net goal anyways. Rantanen would score again. And then, because why the hell not, Nikolai Kovalenko would get another goal, another point, 2 points for him on the night with like a few seconds left on a pretty nice pass from Casey Middlestat. The Avs had a power play. Just Brandon Montour was doing dumb stuff, which I thought he was like not playing in this game. I don't even know. So like I said, this was a pretty good game for the Avs. They controlled play for most of it. Really, it was just special teams that let them down. I mean, they were pretty much down a man on the first goal. They were on the kill on the second goal, and they were down to 6-on-5 on the third one. So every single goal scored against them was not at 5v5. Technically the first one was, but whoever it wasn't in the play. Kiviranta, I think. I think the Avs played pretty well. It was a really nice game to, break their skid. Lehkonen coming back clearly had an impact on that lineup. I thought he was all right. He wasn't quite himself, but obviously he hasn't played hockey since May, and that's 6 months, so that's a long time. If any of you have ever stopped doing something for 6 months at a certain level, going back to that level is very hard to do. So I have no qualms against him. I don't really have any negatives on the night. I thought most of the team played pretty well. I think the power play was really good. The special teams kind of fortunately broke even for the Avs. They gave up 2 shorthanded goals, technically. Technically, they didn't. I don't know. There's a lot of technicalities in this one. The Avs were down a man for 3 of the Seattle's goals, kind of, and they scored 3 goals with a guy up, and that's fine. They got 2 5v5 depth goals, and that's totally fine. You want your stars to be able to score a little more at 5v5, and Nathan MacKinnon got 2 points at 5v5, so you're not going to be too mad about it. To be completely truthful, I just don't have a lot to say about this game. To be honest, I was not paying full attention. I was watching the election, just truth be told. But from what I saw, I thought the Avs were playing well. I thought their defensive structure was good. Just looking at these at the fancy numbers really quick at 5v5, the Avs possessed Seattle, they outshot Seattle, and they outchanced Seattle pretty much until at 5v5 it was a little bit skewed towards Seattle in the later 2 periods, and I think that's partially because the Avs did have a 2-goal lead at that point. And if we extrapolate this to to not 5v5, the Avs were dominant. They were the better team. And that's the problem. Seattle can't take penalties against the Avs because the Avs will make them pay. The Avs are a good team with talented offense, and if you put all that talented offense on the ice at one time, they're just gonna do it. Now, speaking of that talent, let's get into the headliners of the game. Nathan MacKinnon is the obvious one here. He had 5 assists. I mean, he just took over this game, and it wasn't just skill. He had some of that in there, but it was also work. He was working hard. He was determined to keep the puck, maintain possession, and make smart plays. And that was part of my issue with him against Nashville, and part of my issues I've had with him and Mikko the past few games. Mikko also played pretty well. I thought he was holding onto the puck pretty well, using his size. He was a little bit more confident, and we like to see that. We always love a confident Mikko. That's what's best for him as a player. I already mentioned Artturi Lehkonen. Obviously good for him. His play wasn't, superb, but he played well. He got a few points. He played 22 minutes. That's a lot for a guy returning from an injury like that. So good on him. Kovalenko added 2 assists. That was pretty good. But Parker Kelly was probably one of the better depth guys that I say. I'm going to put him in the dog category. No points for him, unfortunately, but he had 5 big blocks on that shift. He deserved a little bit of a better fate there. I didn't quite watch that replay too extensively. I was a little bit bummed out because of Parker Kelly, so I was just not wanting to think about it. But just he was putting his body on the line there, and he said he had a really great quote after the game where he's like, anything to win, or it was something along those lines. He cares about winning, and that's something the Avs, not necessarily that they're lacking it, but when you're a championship contender, you need guys like that. And I think he'll definitely be a valuable depth piece, especially once he gets to go back to a little bit more of a comfortable role, probably more on the fourth line, I think that's where he'll thrive a little bit better. And I think tonight was a good showcase of that. He's a fast player. He's a tenacious player. He can create some offense. He just needs a little bit more help around him. I don't really have any bummers from this game. The one thing I will point out, and like I said, these goals weren't really his fault, but this is the third straight game of sub 900 for Annunen. That's not fantastic. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, I don't both of these games, he's only technically given up 3 goals, but at the same time, he didn't face too many high danger chances, I felt like. So I felt like, maybe they could use another save. He's not playing next game. They've already confirmed Georgiev will be in, and obviously this is a big game for him. He has yet to have a 900 game on the season. And if the Avs are going to need a 900 game against anyone, it's going to be the Winnipeg Jets, the team that's 12-1 or some crazy nonsense, riding an absolute heater. And if you remember, they were riding an absolute heater before the Avs played them in the postseason last year. And we all saw how that went. Not saying that's going to be the same. They're missing some key pieces like a Val Nichushkin. That was their big demise. But they do have Artturi Lehkonen, who was also a big factor in beating Winnipeg last year. Now, I think it'll be a tough game for the Avs for sure. In Winnipeg, they are missing a lot of their lineup, and Winnipeg's rolling right now. I can't say that I have super duper high expectations, but they've been feasting on some of these bottom teams for a while, and that's fine. They're injured. They have their weaknesses. That's kind of what they have to do to get by, and that's completely acceptable. It's not like they're at full capacity losing to every good team that they play, but it would be nice to see them beat a good team or two, because we've seen them lose to some teams they probably shouldn't, like maybe a Nashville, maybe a Chicago, You need to get those back in some way, and I think part of the way to get that back is going to be beating Winnipeg. Now, Winnipeg's going to come with a vengeance. We're going to see how the Avs respond to that. Hopefully it's with another W. Keep building off this one. We've seen they can be a little bit streaky, so maybe, they're getting hot again. That'd be nice to see, especially there's a chance that Duran comes back. We'll see. I'd personally like it better when they bring him back at home. I think it gives the crowd a nice boost. I think it, gives the player a little bit more comfortability, but we will see. I think the Avs have a good chance, especially if guys like Mikko Rantanen and Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon play like this again. Now, one thing I will say that I kind of forgot about, Cale Makar did leave this game injured. He's going on the trip with the team to Winnipeg. We don't know what it is. It's a lower body injury. The injury is a little bit awkward based on what I saw. We've seen him battle through some stuff before. Personally, it's early enough in the season. I don't want him to risk it. I've seen too many times he'll get hurt and they'll play him again. And I don't think it's like they're forcing him to play. I think he's willing to, but I think sometimes he needs to just not do it, because last year we saw him play injured a lot and he wasn't very good, especially defensively. So he shouldn't be risking the injury if he doesn't have, unless he feels 100% certain that he will be fine, unless it was just a little nagging thing and he's just going to be okay. So that's a big point for the next game tomorrow. Well, probably as you're watching this today, against Winnipeg. So we'll see. Hopefully the Avs can stay hot. Hopefully Georgiev, that leash is getting shorter and shorter by the game here. So he's really going to have to do something. I didn't think he was terrible against Chicago, but he's got to at least get a 900 save percentage. Honestly, if Winnipeg peppers the Avs and, they put up 40 shots and he lets in 4, well, that's a 900. You can't blame him super for that one, But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully the Avs can stay hot, and I'll see you in the next one.